Hello! Do you want to get started as a speaker? You are in the right place. Today, you're going to learn 3 major decisions you need to make if you want to get started as a speaker and 1 bold action. If we've never met, my name is Lisa Vanderquack. I am the CEO and founder of Speak to Transform Academy, and I am an executive speaking coach. But hey, I didn't start out this way. I was so terrified to speak one time. And by the grace of God and engaging in training and growth and personal transformation, God took me from being terrified to speak to now training women to speak. So I'm so honored to be with you today. And today you're going to learn all about what do you need to do to get started to speak. Do you know you're called to speak? I meet many, many women who know they're called to speak, who have a desire to impact people's lives, but feel so held back. They struggle. How do I get started? Well, I'm here to tell you the first thing you need to do is you need to make a decision. You need to make a decision, actually 3 decisions, but the first one is critical. And the first one is to decide that you are a speaker. Now, that might seem really strange for me to say that because maybe you've never spoken before in public. Maybe you've never actually delivered a message, but you are still a speaker. If you are called to speak, if you know you're called to speak, then you need to make a decision. I'm a speaker. I'm going to step into my calling as a speaker. Why? Because as you begin to make that decision, it's going to show up in how you show up. If you are not confident in that, if you're not clear in that, if you're doubting that, it's going to show up in your voice. It's going to show up in your body language. It's going to show up in how you show up. So the first decision you need to make is that you're going to go for it. I am a speaker. I'm going to become the very best speaker that God has called me to. Is that what you're going to decide? Decide today? No great runner becomes a runner unless they start running. You need to start speaking. Speak. I am a speaker. The second decision you need to make is, what are you going to speak on? What is the subject matter that you have a passion about, that you have some maybe experience in or some track record of overcoming in, or have some solutions that you want to pass on to some people? You have some answers that people need to hear. You have a story that will help others break through, become free. What is that subject matter that you are passionate about? Now, again, getting clear on this is really important, because if you don't have a clarity around this, then you may be speaking in all different subjects or taking speaking opportunities that maybe you're not within your ideal realm of authority and anointing. And that will actually hinder your effectiveness and your impact. You're going to learn more about that next week, because I'm going to be teaching you and training you on how to get known as a speaker, how to get booked to speak, all those things. So if you want to learn about that, you can stay tuned for next week's training as well. But knowing your subject matter. Now, I know you probably don't have it all clearly defined, and maybe you don't even have a message put together. That's okay. You can still get clear and make a decision. You know what? I'm going to speak on parenting. I'm going to speak on marriage. I'm going to speak on construction. I'm going to speak on engineering. I don't know. What is your area of expertise? You need to make a decision, because when you get speaking opportunities, then you can know whether or not this is even an ideal opportunity for you based on the conference, based on the people that are there, all those things. But also begin to hone in on the areas that are part of your unique mission and message. The third thing you need to decide is, who are the people that will benefit the most from what you have to say? Who are the people that are going to resonate the most with your message, with your subject matter, with what you want to pass on, those learnings that you want to pass on? And again, in a training in the future, you're going to learn how to put together that message in a way that's clear, concise, but also how to even narrow down if you want to even further niche down on the audience. But for now, just make a decision about a clarity. Is it going to be, for example, parents? Is it going to be only men? Is it going to be only women? Is it going to be both? Is there a certain distinctive about the audience that you know would be best suited to hear what you have to say in the specific area that you are called to speak on? So making the decision about these three areas, first of all, that you're a speaker. Yes, that you are a speaker, because it will affect how you show up. It will affect how you're perceived unless you make that decision that I am a speaker. I'm going to become the very best speaker on my subject matter as best as I can. Then you need to decide your subject matter. What are you going to speak on? And the third thing is you need to decide who are the people that are best suited to hear what you have to say. To get started as a speaker, this is part of that preparation of clarity. Because if you're not clear, the audience won't be clear. If you're not clear that you're even a speaker, the audience will doubt that. If you're not clear about your expertise and authority in a certain subject matter, your audience is not going to be clear. If you're not clear that they're the right people to be speaking to, they're not going to be clear either. And so that is going to impact your effectiveness as a speaker. Now, I told you that you're going to learn today 3 decisions you need to make to get started as a speaker and 1 bold action. So you've just learned the 3 decisions. The 1 bold action is this. You need to start speaking. You need to speak. If you are a speaker, if you have a calling to speak, you need to speak. You need to put yourself out there and start speaking. No great runner becomes a runner or a great runner unless he runs. Every great speaker was once a bad speaker. You need to get out there, and even if it's messy and unrefined, to start speaking. There are so many opportunities now for you to start speaking. You don't need permission from anyone else. In fact, your calling is your permission. You don't need to wait for an invitation to speak. You can start speaking on a platform like this. You can start speaking in a Facebook group, your own Facebook group that you curate. You can start speaking on your own podcast or be a guest on podcasts. You don't have to wait for permission or an invitation. But if you want to become the very best speaker in your area of expertise, then you need to start to speak. You need to make a decision. I'm going to speak. I'm going to speak, and I'm going to speak a lot in order to get better at speaking, in order to become the very best speaker that I'm called to in the area that I'm called to speak, so that you can begin to hone your craft and learn and begin to become aware of what you don't even know. No great dancer becomes a great dancer unless she starts to dance. Every area. And so those are 3 decisions you need to make if you want to get started as a speaker, and 1 bold action that you can start right away is start to speak. Where are you going to start to speak? You know, one of the things that I find holds back women is this fear of what people are going to say, fear of rejection, all those things. And it really is putting you in a place of keeping you stuck and putting you on pause. And so I want to share with you a story that will help motivate you, but help give you what you need in order to step out there and begin to become the speaker that you're called to. And this is a story that was told to me by one of my mentors, Eileen Wilder. She tells a story in one of her signature talks. And it's a story about a man named W. Clement Stone. And W. Clement Stone, if you don't know who he is no longer with us, but he was a man who was an entrepreneur. And in fact, he was a self-made billionaire. He lived in New York City and had a huge company. He was in sales, and he attributed his ability to make $1 billion, to become a billionaire, to saying this one phrase over and over every day. Do you want to know what it is? The phrase was, do it now. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. He would say it over and over and over. In fact, he called it his self-starter phrase. It would give him the ability to continue to move forward, to get started on a task, on project, on an initiative, whatever it might be. He called it his self-starter phrase. And in fact, if you worked for W. Clement Stone, he would have his staff say this 100 times a day. He had it on posters. He had it on Post-it notes. He would put it all around the office. on desks, everywhere. And he would get his staff to say it. Do it now. He would walk around his office. In fact, when he was coming from the top of the building where he lived in and going down to the bottom floor in the elevator, he would say it over and over and over. Do it now. Do it now. Do it now. You might say, Lisa, why would he say that phrase? How did that make him a millionaire, a billionaire? Well, this is what he discovered. You see, W. Clement Stone understood that the number one enemy of wealth and success is not mindset. Although your mindset does play a role, it is not the number one enemy. The number one enemy is, you ready for this? Delay. W. Clement Stone understood that the number one enemy of wealth and success, and even as a speaker, success in a speaker, is not mindset, but delay. And that's why he would go around, say, do it now, to keep him from delay, to keep him from procrastinating, to putting it off. Because you know how it is. When you put something off, a minute becomes an hour becomes a day becomes a week becomes a month becomes a year. Before you know it, years have gone by and you have not moved forward on your dreams. So I want to encourage you and challenge you to take this phrase and begin to implement in your life as a speaker to help you get started as a speaker. Do it now. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for an invitation. Do it now. Decide that you are a speaker. Decide what is the area that you want to start speaking on. Sure, that could change over time. It might evolve. You might add on things, but do it now. Begin somewhere. As you begin even to do it messy, you'll begin to become aware of what you do well and what you need to develop, what skills you need to develop, what resources you need to access, who you might need help from. But unless you start, you don't become aware of those things. Have you ever bought a car and you've researched what kind of car you want, and then when you bought that car, all of a sudden you see other people around you driving that same kind of car, whereas before you never noticed it, right? It happens because now you're more aware of it. You're more familiar. It's now part of your experience. The same thing is when you are speaking. When you start to step out, even messy, begin to experiment, begin to put yourself in motion in some way, whether it be speaking in a Facebook group or on a podcast, you begin to become aware of what you're doing well and what you need help with, and even begin to get clearer about your messaging. So I want to encourage you, get started today. Do it now. Let me know in the comments, what are you going to do today to get started as a speaker? Maybe it's making a decision, one of those decisions or all three of those decisions, or the action of actually stepping out there and doing it, getting started as a speaker. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this today. Next week, you're going to learn all about, in fact, I'm going to go on live every day next week. So if you want to tune in, you're going to learn how to get booked as a speaker, how to get known as a speaker. I just had to remember which ones I'm doing next week. How to get known as a speaker, how to speak with greater impact, how to speak in such a way that you impact people by how you deliver your message. So same time, 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time on this channel. Stay tuned in and let me know what are some areas that you want to learn about how to get better at communicating, about what skills to learn as a speaker, what you want to know about public speaking to help you to become the very best speaker that you are called to. And I'll include it into my trainings that I'm planning for the next couple of months. Thank you, everyone. Have a beautiful day. I look forward to seeing you next week. And remember, someone somewhere is waiting to hear what you have to say. Your unique message is meant to transform lives and impact the people that need to hear it. So don't delay. Do it now. Start speaking. Bye, everyone.